Well, everyone, it's time for us to go ahead and take a look at the iPhone 11 and compare it against the iPhone 11 Pro and see which specific phone you should go and pick up. Now, definitely, in my opinion, I think both these phones are really good. If you want to pick up either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, both these phones came out at the same time in 2019, so about 4 years, almost 4 years older this year. It's going to be very interesting to see how both these phones compare. Now, the iPhone 11 was the cheaper model, it was like the cheaper end at that moment. You had a 6.1-inch Retina IPS panel on the front, and it wasn't a bad panel. I still think it holds up fairly decent, but it's definitely not as good of a panel as the iPhone 11 Pro. But I will say it's aged fairly well. Like, it still has a pretty good amount of display. It's a big display for how big this phone is. You're getting pretty thick bezels around it. And I remember in 2019 when I made videos about this phone back then, I was pretty happy about it because of the specific, downsize in price. That was a pretty big thing from Apple. But also, it was a pretty good phone. It was a pretty big upgrade coming from the 10R. With the iPhone 11 Pro, we are getting a little bit of a smaller 5.8-inch display, but it's a Super Retina OLED display. It looks very good still. I don't really have too much to complain about it. And I do think in this specific moment, I still think it holds up very, very well. Now, it is a high resolution. It's also an OLED display, so you're definitely getting a better, looking phone from this one for sure over the iPhone 11, but they still kind of share a lot of similarity as well. Now, on the sides, we do have kind of different sides as well. So with the iPhone 11, we do have like this aluminum side. The iPhone 11 Pro has this stainless steel side, and the iPhone 11 Pro definitely feels a lot more premium than the iPhone 11. It's also a thinner phone and a smaller phone in general. On the bottom, we have lightning ports on both, speaker grills on the bottom as well. And on the back, we do have a very interesting type of comparison. So with the iPhone 11 dual camera setup, iPhone 11 Pro triple camera setup, we're also getting a glass back on the iPhone 11. The iPhone 11 Pro has this frosted glass back, and I think both these phones look really good in that specific situation. There's really not a crazy amount to compare here because they both look, kind of similar, but there's also some differences. Both have wireless charging, both have IP certification, but that feeling in the hand, when I feel the iPhone 11 Pro and I feel the glass on the iPhone 11, it is actually a pretty noticeable difference. And I always have liked the frosted glass backs. This was the iPhone 11 Pro that I used for like a year, like 2 years ago, and I enjoyed it. I still think it holds up really, really well. And I think the iPhone 11 still looks very good too. Like I said, not a crazy amount to complain about between both these phones. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. Now, in the software and the longevity portion, a really big thing to keep in mind is that because Apple does their software updates based on how, the chipset inside of these things for the most part, unless they change things in the future, both these phones are probably going to be lasting exactly the same amount of time. So whether you get an iPhone 11 or you get an iPhone 11 Pro, both of these phones are going to be lasting the same exact amount of time. So I wouldn't really be freaking out too much if you have an iPhone 11 or 11 Pro. They're going to be lasting the same amount of time in terms of the software updates. So there's not a whole lot to complain about in that standpoint either. So in terms of that covers it up there. Now let's go into speed comparison between both these phones. The iPhone 11 and the iPhone 11 Pro both have that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So basically the same exact internals when it comes down to it. So let's go see which one's the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are not cleared out in the background. On the iPhone 11 Pro they are. On the iPhone 11 they are now cleared out. So let us get into it. Phone calls 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go out of here. Music 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 11 was faster. iPhone 11 Pro a little bit slower, but I think we did have this one open earlier on, so we'll just kind of keep that in mind. Settings 3, 2, 1. Actually, I don't know which one was faster there. App Store 3, 2, 1. And both are about the same thing, but the iPhone 11 I think was a little bit faster there. Scrolling through, let's see if there's a difference here. And I don't really think there's that big of a difference with the loading speed. Slightly faster on the iPhone 11 in that specific situation. Let's go and get into mail, which I don't have here. Clock 3, 2, 1. I just realized I have the same wallpaper on both as well. Hopping out of here, mail. Where's the mail application? 3, 2, 1. There we go. Hopping out of here. Let's go into photos. 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing. Let's go and hop out of here. Camera 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go and take a photo. Let's go and open up this photo. 3, 2, 1. The iPhone 11 did detect night mode. 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 11 Pro did not want to open up that photo very randomly. Zooming in and out, kind of the same thing. Kind of the gestures too, very, very similar. Face, let's do calendar 3, 2, 1. I don't know why the iPhone 11 Pro is glitching up a little bit now. It's like when I click on an application, it doesn't want to open. Now I do have some similar applications between these two. Let's go get into Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. See, again, I just need to restart these ones because they're just not wanting to open up on this phone. Maybe I'm clicking wrong. Netflix 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing. Let's go and do Quizlet 3, 2, 1. iPhone 11 was actually faster there. Dropbox 3, 2, 1. I think the iPhone 11 again was a faster one. Let's go into Facebook 3, 2, 1. Okay, we are logged into an account here, so there's going to be obvious differences. Twitter 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go and hop out of here. Let's go and do Snake versus Blocks 3, 2, 1. And iPhone 11 Pro is actually faster here. Getting into some gameplay, let's see if there's a big difference, which I really don't think there's going to be, but it's still worth kind of noting. And pretty much the same thing, hopping out of here. Let's do Stack 3, 2, 1. And I think the iPhone 11 Pro is faster there. And we'll just kind of end it off with, let's do the original Temple Run. Let's do Temple Run 2 again, 3, 2, 1, although I butchered this one in the beginning with. And overall, what I'll definitely tell you is I think both these phones have done a pretty good job in the performance side. I think something like the iPhone 11 is actually sometimes faster than the iPhone 11 Pro, which is very weird because the iPhone 11 is the older phone, or it's the cheaper phone. You should expect it to be slower, but that's actually not the case here. Apple did a really good job on both these phones at that time. So when it comes down to the performance, both are very good, but I'd probably say that the iPhone 11 might be slightly faster, but the iPhone 11 Pro definitely has the better display. So in the camera department, though, moving on, we do have, like I mentioned before, a dual camera setup on the iPhone 11 and a triple camera setup on the iPhone 11 Pro. So both can do 4K at 60 on the front and the back, but that iPhone 11 Pro does have that additional telephoto lens, which honestly looks really, really nice. Now, on the iPhone 11, this camera, the good thing about this phone, Apple was still selling this phone for quite a bit of time after they, officially discontinued it, kind of. And this phone had a pretty good display. I mean, it had a pretty good camera. The display was okay, but 5x zoom, you had 0.5x zoom as well. You were lacking the 10x zoom that most telephoto cameras had at that moment, but you still have things like video mode, slow mode, time lapse, portrait mode as well. So you still have a lot of good stuff going on with this phone, which is still really nice. So I still think this type of camera is fairly good for the most part. It's, again, not the best. It's missing cinematic mode, no stabilization mode either. But I think for the most part, if you need a camera that's just going to get its job done, I don't think you can go wrong with this type of phone, in my opinion. Now, with the iPhone 11 Pro, this camera is definitely a better one, in my opinion, as some of you may be able to tell. This camera has a lot of cool features. It's more in line with something like the iPhone 11 than it isn't. You do get the 10x zoom here, which is really nice. You also get the 5x, 0.5x zoom too. So I definitely do think when it comes down to it, this isn't a bad camera, but it's definitely better than the iPhone 11. It's just not outperforming like a 13 Pro or anything, which most of us know this by now, but it's still a very good camera in this day and age. So to kind of sum up this video, what I'll tell you is, if you want the phone that's going to be the better one here, I think the iPhone 11 Pro is clearly the winner here. It is a very good phone with a lot of features built in, and I like this phone a lot. Like, I definitely do think this is the phone I would recommend buying. I think the iPhone 11, though, is probably a little bit more available. Like, I do think more people can probably buy an iPhone 11. It's just available in more places. More carriers still kind of support it. So this is the one, if it's available by you, go for it. I wouldn't upgrade from an iPhone 11 to an 11 Pro. That's like a side grade in my opinion. But I do think if you have like an iPhone 10, iPhone, like 10R, I would recommend going up to the iPhone 11 Pro. But the iPhone 11 is still a pretty good device too. So that pretty much covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll be so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.